Morning, Mr. McGuire.
Good morning.
I don't think I have to give you the spiel on how this place works.
I know the spiel.
Whenever you're ready.
Tim McGuire, President of QP Local 79. In my remarks, there's a letter that you all have. It comes more from a PFR perspective than an EMS perspective, although I'm somewhat aware of some of the issues at EMS. On this, more from the scheduling perspective, I wasn't completely sure about the technology piece, Kronos there, but it's something we can check in with our members on.
See, there's a letter.
So I'm coming here from the perspective of saying that technological tools can be used to improve service and improve work life for your employees. And I think this committee can play a role in supporting divisions in trying to achieve both of those goals. Tech supports, like other tools, should be seen as supportive tools for our values, for our goals. And one of the goals from the city, of course, is providing stable public service. The other goal ought to be providing stable jobs as we do that. And the two go hand in hand. Some of the issues that our members have noted, and they've been expressed through the labor management process that's underway now in Parks and Rec, are the speed and usability of the system, improving reduced time spent on data entry. Problems are reported on pay discrepancies for part-time staff. These issues need to be addressed. And a greater detail is needed on pay stubs, so part-time employees of the city are more clear about their hours and the service credits that they have, etc. Part-time staff would like to see more predictability in scheduling with guaranteed hours of work, not just at PFR, but childcare and long-term care and other areas. And these are areas that Kronos doesn't attach to at the moment. And we've been, whether it's at the bargaining table or labor management processes, been trying to raise solutions to predictability issues of scheduling, from text blast invitations to available hours, etc. And so far they've been mostly on deaf ears. And we think that these tools should be advanced to support those goals of more predictable scheduling. Our members, whether it's in recreation, where a lot of part-time employees put together shifts at various locations in various programs to get as close to full-time work as they can for either a period of time or some year-round. Very often having to put availability in recreation for a number of places in hopes that they get something. So broadly putting in availability. So they would like to be able to put in more specific indications of where they're available and where they're going to get signed work. In long-term care, we have our members waiting by the phone very often to find out when the next shift is. The same is in childcare. So if the city's using these as two test pilots to look at scheduling and other issues for staff and for the services that need to be provided, I think it should be a more proactive approach. And I would suggest hearing from Brother Merriman earlier, and what I think might be appropriate is a more frontline, proactive engagement with frontline workers, the dispatch that we represent, et cetera, and frontline workers at recreation in this test stage. But in going forward, a proactive frontline approach in terms of what are the issues that employees need in terms of making the system work to support the stability of their lives and therefore the stability of the service. So we applaud tech supports to support services and to support our members in their work and the predictability of their scheduling. And I think that this committee could provide a really supportive role in the city, showing that it can be a leader in supporting good jobs as they provide good services, but providing the supports in a way that understands the way the systems actually work on the ground.
Councillor Davis, you have questions? Sorry. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. McGuire. Councillor Davis, you have questions?
I do. I certainly know from the recreational staff in my ward that they're often running all over the place. They are bidding all the time on work, and it's a very fragmented work. Very fragmented job to be a recreationist or a facilities person in recreation. Are you saying, and I think now that I'm listening to what you're saying, it's possible we could use the data that comes out of this to really get a picture of the kind of working conditions of recreation workers in Toronto.
Yes.
So we could take the data and say, 50% of workers are, I'm not exactly
So
sure what.
you could use the data, but talk to frontline workers and frontline managers, supervisors about what data they need to be able to get that picture.
Right.
And to collect that data. And so if the city is going to, the intent is to roll it out into other areas, you get a real true picture of the following, which is that many city employees, part-time employees, whether it's in parks and recreation, long-term care, childcare, or shelters, got a huge issue in shelters where people are asked to give 24/7 availability, 4 days a week, 2 during the week, 2 on weekends, without any immediate guarantee of hours. They don't know their actual hours till closer to the week of. In our part-time Unit B agreement, now we now have language that says people are supposed to get some predictability 4 weeks in advance of known work. Most divisions are not there yet. I give credit to 311 who is making an active step towards meeting that obligation, and we need more divisions to be able to do that. That's language in our collective
Could
agreement.
you explain that again?
At our last round of negotiations, where, as I said, respectfully, we were having some
Understand that.
difficult issues.
You
with
want
schedule.
4 weeks of predictability, but when you describe that scheduling,
So not all divisions follow this, but there are kind of two kinds of scheduling. There's known work, where the city knows that predictably there will be certain shifts available depending on what the service is, and then there's kind of call-in work. Our collective agreement indicates where there's known work, you have to get 4 weeks advance notice of that known work. Some divisions, many divisions aren't there yet, and I think this technological support, if done right, could provide the city with the ability to actually do that. Where there's known work, someone should not be in a situation, an employee of the city should not be in a situation where they put in an availability form a month in advance, or in Parks and Rec, they actually do it seasonally. But they might know the known work, but some of the other work, they have no clue until closer to the time, and they're chasing that work, as you said. So
when
I
you
think this
say
could be a tool.
seasonally,
Yeah.
that's like 3 times a...
So I would suggest
Sure.
that because there have been some issues identified, both by Brother Merriman and by our members in Recreation in terms of some discrepancies, actually ask frontline workers, frontline supervisors and managers, what do you need to make this system work?
Okay.
What fields do you need? How can you make scheduling more predictable? And if you want to actually roll it out, then you have a basis by which you can support more predictable scheduling.
Okay, I understand, using this as a tool
Yeah, so
for understanding better the current working conditions. Could I ask you, were you consulted, and have you ever been part of this implementation team that seems to be...
no.
No.
So we're raising these issues because what we do now, and we're expanding the number of divisions we have labor management relationships with, and we actually survey our members about the issues that we want to then take into labor management on their behalf. So we've talked to our members about this issue and brought these issues to the labor management process. We've not been consulted as a part of the process, no.
So this is supposed to be expanding to the full corporate-wide application. Presumably, there are going to be other issues in other divisions in the future.
I would suggest that frontline consultation happen along with improving things at the 2 divisions you're having the pilot projects in now. But if you want to expand, then you should make sure you engage with frontline management, frontline workers about what the actual issues are in providing more predictable scheduling and therefore more predictable services.
Okay.
And we've, in a number of forums, whether labor management, bargaining tables, we've raised these issues about making scheduling more predictable and brought to the table tech solutions. This may be one of them, but there are other ideas that might actually make the service more predictable, because the lives of the workers who are waiting by a phone to get a shift would be more predictable.
Can I just, one last question? This isn't creating pay issues, though, is it? As in the federal fiasco. Are there pay problems coming out of this?
Well, as one of the bullet points here, there are reported pay discrepancies, and I think we have to get on top of those in terms of the actual hours that people are working and getting the appropriate pay for them. I wouldn't suggest the scale of pay, but they are being reported to us as issues. And I'm hearing an echo of a yes from my
Yes,
brother,
I
so
can see Ned.
I'll echo that forward.
Okay, thank you.
We're not occupying, but I'm echoing that forward.
Councillor Shan, you have a question?
Yes, just a clarification. So when you said there was no consultation, there were no consultation with the leadership, or there was no consultation with the front line, or both one didn't happen with respect to this? You as a leader of
The union was not consulted. I don't want to speak without knowing. I know that there have been discussions with frontline workers and a couple of representatives from the local in terms of some scheduling issues at AMS, but I can't declare whether or not they've been consulted around Kronos.
as the leadership of the union, you have not been consulted on this?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry. Councillor Crisante, you have questions?
So just the same question. I just want to, so you've already identified that the union wasn't consulted. And so your view on the old system, which you had up until recently, and the new system, was the old system more effective in your opinion? Given the current challenges you have?
I actually don't have an opinion on that.
You don't?
Sir. I don't. As I said, I think this also gets mixed into, there were some discussions happening, changing of scheduling system itself in the dispatch. So I don't want to speak to, because we were consulted on that, and I don't want to pretend to know the nitty-gritty of where the overlap happens. And I don't have a view on whether the old system worked better or not.
All right, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions of the deputant? No. Thank you very much, Mr. McGuire. Appreciate you coming in this morning.